Here we have the inside of the Elddis Majestic 254. If we firstly come to the main control panel just here, we can turn the 12 volt on just on the master switch just here. Beside this we have water pump. So we have water pump off, water pump on. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained. Next we have the main master button for all of the onboard lights. These can then all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. And then lastly we have the awning light. All other information is then given via scrolling on these little arrows at the bottom here. So if we begin to scroll, we have how much water is in the fresh tank, how much water is in the waste tank. We then have the settings menu. If we then press enter, we can then go into that and we can alter the contrast of the screen. We can turn key beeps on and off. How long before this control panel goes back into standby when you're not using it. At the moment it's set so if your water level is low on your fresh tank it will let you know, and if your waste tank is high it will let you know. You can activate so the control panel lets you know if you lose main supply. You can have a warning, which is currently on at the moment, if your vehicle battery is low and your leisure battery is low. And then we just literally just leave auto battery on. It then also gives you the firmware that this control panel is running. And then we just exit back out again. We can only select the leisure battery, so we don't need to do anything here. And then it will give you the condition of the leisure battery. And then we return back to the beginning, where up here it's letting us know that we have main supply connected. If we want to alter the time, all we do is we just hold the enter button and then the time will start to flash, and then we just alter it on the arrow keys. Above it we have the control panel for the Aldi heating and hot water system. So we just turn it on just here. And once we've done this, we will then see the startup screen, which will let you know if you have main supply connected. Will give you an internal temperature of the motorhome and will let you know if the circulation pump is running for the heating system. If we now press menu, we'll go to its basic functions. So the top one here is the thermostat for the heating, just literally plus and minus. Pick whatever temperature you would like it to be inside the motorhome. It will go all the way up to 30 degrees and drop all the way down to 5 degrees for frost protection. Next we have hot water. So currently hot water is off. If I now press the plus, hot water on, and then hot water on the boost. The boost facility is handy if you just want longer showers or there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other. If you do perform the boost and the heating's running, it will turn the heating off because it needs to use the extra power to perform it. Even though I've kind of set these at the moment, the system hasn't fully fired up yet because we haven't given it a power source. So if we want to run the system on main supply, come to this one here, which has got the little lightning strike, and we can run the system on 1 kilowatts, 2 kilowatts, or 3 kilowatts, just depending on the ampage of the site you're on to stop yourself from tripping. If we don't have main supply, we can run on gas, And if we want to get up to temperature really quickly, we can run in dual fuel. Dual fuel is also very handy, especially in the winter months. It will only use the gas as it is required. If we now press the cog button, we will then go into the settings menu, and you'll see here that we have firstly a night timer. We turn it on and off just here. We set the temperature just here on the plus and the minus. We then set when we would like night mode to begin and whether that's for all days of the week or individual, and then when we would like it to finish. We can also highlight this one here and invert the backlight, so this screen here goes to black, the writing goes to white, and we can also highlight this one here and it will then stop the boiler producing any hot water throughout that period. This can be handy if you are running just solely on gas and you do not wish to waste any making hot water while you're asleep. Next we have day timer, and again virtually the same as the night mode. The only difference is obviously we don't have invert the backlight. Prioritize is what the system prioritizes in dual fuel mode, so it will currently favour main supply over gas. So as I just said previously, it will only use the gas as it's required. If you are on an extremely low amp site, you can flip it on its head so it actually consumes less electricity and more gas. Here we just have brightness of the screen, and we could invert the backlight all the time if we wanted to. This one is not operational on this model. Obviously if we're going to be using timers, helps if the clock's correct, and this is just where we set it. If we now arrow down, we have this one here which is antimicrobial. You do have to be using night mode at the same time as this, and then basically at about 2-3 o'clock in the morning the boiler will rapidly heat itself up to kill off any bacteria that may be in it. We then have temperature offset for the onboard thermostat. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly tweak it. High altitude mode. This should be activated if the motorhome is 1,000 meters above sea level. It will just make the system run better at that different air pressure. Whether or not you want button beeps on. One delayed start and stop to the system, so just like one big giant timer. Pump settings, just literally leave it set on thermal. Factory reset if there's a problem with the control panel. External start, you do have to have additional boxes added, and then you can control the system via a smartphone or a tablet. Language, service more for the workshop, but it will let you know what everything is up to. So as you can see at the moment, the glycol in the radiators is at 45 degrees and the water temperature is at 41. And then lastly, we have installed accessories. In here, the only one that really is of any use is the load monitor. And if I now arrow through, you'll see this one here, which is the load monitor. If you know how many amps the site is, so let's say it's a 10 amp site, we select that, and then it doesn't actually matter that we're running on 3 kilowatts here. The load monitor will monitor itself and stop you from tripping. Because that's now an activated function, it appears just here, and we can alter it or turn it back off again, like so. If I now press this one, we will then turn the heating and hot water system back off again, and when we turn it back on again, it will always remember whatever you had it on the last time it was on. If we now come to the overhead locker just here, we have the location of the solar panel regulator just up here. We do not need to do anything with it. It will just smart charge both leisure and vehicle. You'll see at the moment we have two solid green lights letting us know that the batteries are fully topped up. Whenever the solar panel is actually charging, these will steadily flash. Beneath it we have the digital amplifier for the television aerial, on and off just here. Control the boost just here. And then we have the television aerial itself. At the moment it's in the up position. If we do need to make sure it's down for travel. And obviously when we're using it, we put the mast up, get it into the position we require, and then lock it into position. Do not over tighten these collars because you can split them. If you do need to do additional tuning, you can turn the tail part just here and flip it from horizontal to vertical. If we now come across to the Avtex television, we can turn the TV on. This television also has a DVD player in the side, and on the top here we also have USB connectivity. As you change location, you will need to retune the television in, and that's done just by holding the button in just here. And then we can then retune back in again. The leisure battery itself is located underneath the carpet just here. So it's just underneath this compartment here. On this particular motorhome, it does give you the facility to add a second leisure battery if you would like. So if we now come underneath the fixed bed, you'll see just here the location where you can add a second battery if you wanted to. Also underneath here we have the Aldi boiler to drain the boiler down for winterization. We just need to come to the yellow lever just here. All we need to do is make sure that the water pump is turned off, and then flap up this lever just here to drain all the water out of the boiler. I've left the water pump on, so all it's now trying to do is frantically fill it back up again. So if I flap it back over, the water pump just here will now reprime the boiler back up again. Also underneath here we have the gas isolation tap for the heating system. It's in the on position and quite frankly can stay like that. I say all the gas isolation taps are just mainly for maintenance. If you do smell gas in the van, it's always advisable to just go to the gas bottles and turn them off. The header tank for the heating system is located in the wardrobe just here. All we need to do is just make sure that the fluid level is between the minimum and the maximum. Always take your reading once the heating is up to temperature, as the fluid will expand in the tank. If it does need topping up, you can do this yourself just by removing the collar just here and then taking the cap off and then adding the correct Aldi top up solution. We then have the Dometic fridge freezer on just here. This is an automatic model, so as long as you are on A for auto, it will find the best power source it can for you. So because we are currently hooked up to main supply, it's put us onto mains electric. If I now went outside and pulled the mains lead out, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas, and as soon as we start the engine, it will then automatically go over to 12 volt maintain to keep the unit cold whilst on the move. We can take it out of auto, so I could, if I wanted to, manually select gas or manually select 12 volt maintain. This at the moment will give us an error symbol just here because the engine is not currently running, but auto is the easiest one to have it on. If it's tried to light itself on gas and it's failed due to the fact that the gas may not be turned on, or you've run out, or there may be air in the system, you can make it attempt again just by holding the button in just here, and it will then attempt to fire itself back up again. Temperature control just here. Beneath the fridge we have the consumer unit, so we have the individual MCBs just here. So we have the charger, the boiler and the sockets. We then have the main RCD and the test button, and then we have the 12 volt fuses all along the bottom. We have the microwave just here. It is advisable to remove the plate for travel. This is an eco model, so you will need to hold the button in just here to turn it on, and then it behaves like any other microwave. Quick start, stop just here, auto cook, defrost, time select just here. We have the hob, which has one electric hot plate and operates on this dial just here, and then everything else is gas. So it's just push in, twist, and then press the igniter just here. If we then drop down, we have the grill, and again it's just push in, twist, and press the igniter. And then lastly, the oven. The oven also has a light. If we now move and look up, we have the Truma air conditioning unit. We have the remote for it just here, so to turn it on, just press the blue button. The unit is currently in air conditioning mode, and we control the temperature on the plus and the minus just here. Fan speed just here, and then we have the mode button, so we can put it into full climate control just here, and it will just maintain the temperature we've asked it to just on here. We can put it on air recirculation, back to air conditioning again. We do not have heat on this particular model. If we now slide down, we have lights for the unit. We have night mode. So if we now put it back into air conditioning, as you can see it's now in night mode, so it will be quieter. and if you want to, you can also set timers. If we now come to the washroom, we have the basin just here, and the shower. Fit for toilet sits here. To open to the cassette, just pull the grey lever, and then blue button to flush. Close back up again. Do make sure that this is closed. If you try to remove the cassette and it's open, it will not come out. Level indicator just on top here. The majority of the switches around the van are for lights, but this one here is not. This switch controls the two fans that sit here behind and here. So if you have your heating on and you want to change the flow so it's blowing some warm air into the cab area, you can just turn the fans on. Above my head we have the carbon monoxide alarm and smoke alarm. They're both battery operated, so just press the buttons just to make sure they're operational. Also in the ceiling beside the air conditioning unit you have the PIR sensor for the alarm. Again, just press the button every now and then to make sure that it's working, because like the smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm, it's also battery operated. And then under both bench seats we have the travel seats, and this infill here is for this front double bed. So once you pull everything across and drop in the cushions, there will still be a small gap along the edge, as this motorhome is made on the Alco chassis, making it slightly wider. And then this infill just here just slots in.